If you've ever wondered what book could truly claim to hold the entire wisdom of a civilization, you're about to find out. Today, we're diving into the Bhagavad Gita, a scripture that's been called India's spiritual heart and the song of the spirit.
And what I find incredible is how this one text bridges the cosmic and the everyday. We'll explore why the Gita is so beloved, what makes its divine dialogue so unique, and how its teachings go way beyond philosophy. They're meant to be lived, not just read.
We'll also unravel the mystical roots of the Gita, talk about the epic Mahabharata that forms its backdrop, and look at how great sages say you can access its deepest truths.
So stick with us. We'll break down the Gita's cosmic worldview, the battle at its center, the hidden layers of allegory, and end with what it means for anyone seeking wisdom today. Ready? Let's get started.
So what really sets the Bhagavad Gita apart from all the other ancient texts? Why is it the go-to scripture for so many spiritual masters?
It's partly its scope. The Gita is described as the essence of the Vedas, the Upanishads, and basically all 6 schools of Hindu philosophy. It's concise, just 700 verses, but somehow manages to pack in an entire universe of spiritual guidance.
It's wild to think that a single book could be both supremely profound and so accessible. I love that it's not just for monks or scholars. People from every walk of life turn to it for comfort, challenge, or clarity.
Exactly, and the way it frames life as this vast, almost cinematic dream is so compelling. The Gita teaches that all our experiences are part of the divine play, a cosmic movie directed by the creator. We're both the actors and the audience.
That idea of reality as a dream maya, the magical illusion, really shakes up how we see ourselves in the world. It's almost unsettling. If everything is God's consciousness, where does our individuality fit in?
It's like the dreamer in the dream, right? The Gita says God manifests all forms and personalities, giving each soul a sense of separateness. But deep down, it's all one consciousness, like waves rising and falling on the same ocean.
And yet, the ego clings so hard to its own story. That's where the Gita introduces sannyasa, this idea of renouncing egoity, letting go of the illusion that we're separate from spirit.
Which is actually freeing when you think about it. The Gita isn't telling you to abandon the world, but to stop identifying with just your limited self. Through yoga and meditation, you dissolve those boundaries, and that's where real bliss shows up.
What fascinates me is how the Gita sits right in the middle of this massive epic, the Mahabharata. It's like the spiritual heart of a sprawling family drama, but also possibly a coded allegory.
And the authorship is just as mysterious. Tradition credits Saj Vyasa, but historians can't even agree on the date, anywhere from 6,000 to 500 BCE. Plus, the Gita is setting a calm, philosophical discourse in the middle of a battlefield almost begs for a symbolic reading.
Totally. The epic format lets the Gita work on multiple levels, as history, as myth, as psychological metaphor. That flexibility is why it's lasted so long and resonated so widely.
And Vyasa's genius was using that battlefield not just as a literal war, but as a metaphor for the inner battles we all fight between ego and soul, confusion and clarity. It's a script written for every seeker.
Actually, that brings up something crucial the Gita warns, that true understanding doesn't come from reading alone. It insists on intuition, often awakened by a realized teacher or guru.
That's huge. The tradition is full of stories of gurus like Lahiri Mahasaya and Sri Yukteswar, who didn't just teach the Gita theoretically. They insisted disciples meditate on it until its truths became real inside them.
I remember a story about a student being told by his guru, "Don't rush, go meditate until you've actually lived these teachings." It's like you need to crack open the shell of words to get to the real kernel of meaning.
Exactly. And that's why new revelations emerge over time. Advanced yogis tap into what's called the Akashic record, the cosmic database of all knowledge, and bring out insights the world needs in each era. It's a living scripture.
So when the Gita talks about Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, how much of that are we supposed to take literally, and how much is spiritual symbolism?
That's the beauty and the puzzle of it. The ancients mixed history and allegory all the time. What matters is recognizing when a story is pointing at deeper truths, like Arjuna symbolizing the soul, Krishna the divine, and the battle as our own inner struggle.
And for modern readers, that means the Gita isn't just about ancient kings or wars. It's about the push and pull inside us all, our higher aspirations versus our restless senses.
And that's why the Gita remains so practical. It doesn't want you to just venerate it on a shelf. You're supposed to apply its lessons to your actions, your thoughts, even your innermost motivations.
Let's talk about Krishna and Arjuna themselves. There's so much myth and legend here. Did you know some have even tried to link Krishna and Christ as one and the same?
I've heard that, but historically, they're distinct. What's striking, though, are the parallels. Miraculous births, early dangers, both seen as incarnations of the divine. It's less about biography, more about the state of consciousness they represent.
Krishna is seen as the avatar, the divine come to earth to uplift humanity. The Gita says his mission is both broad and personal. He brings general teachings to the masses, but also forms deep, transformative bonds with individual disciples.
And Arjuna, as his chosen disciple, stands for the ideal seeker, wrestling with doubt, seeking truth, and ultimately surrendering to wisdom that goes beyond intellect. Their dialogue is a template for any genuine spiritual quest.
So to bring it all together, what stands out to you as the biggest takeaways from our exploration?
First, the Gita frames life as a cosmic dream, reminding us not to take our egos or struggles too seriously. Second, it insists wisdom can't be memorized. It has to be lived and realized, often with guidance. Third, its message is timeless, meant for action, not just contemplation.
That's spot on. And if listeners want to start somewhere, I'd say, pick up even a single verse from the Gita, and instead of racing through, sit with it, meditate on it. Let it marinate until you feel its truth inside.
Seriously, let the Gita become less of a book and more of a living conversation in your life. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep seeking and stay curious.